This is Gordon Fessick from antiwindowscatalog.com, and this is a bonus part of safeguarding your Windows 8 Pro PC. It involves removing and replacing this ugly image that a lot of people have been complaining about since Windows 8's release. There's been so much misinformation about this, and no wonder. When a regular user or an administrator goes to log on, and then they restart the computer, they'll see their own image come up. But when they normally go to just log off, it just puts the regular image back. Just like that. Just to demonstrate, I changed the lock image on this particular computer to one of the other options here. If I were to restart this computer right now, it would come back with this image. But if I were to just log off, it would go right back to the default. So this has been quite the source of confusion. Now I'm going to show you what the heck Microsoft is really doing here and how to replace this thing. It actually involves booting from your Windows 8 CD-ROM and using the command prompt repair functionality. I'll show you quickly what I'm talking about. Where you have to go to replace these files is quite well hidden, and also quite off limits to admins as well as to regular users. It's actually buried in a hidden file here called program data. This is where the all users profile would go. It's actually buried in there, but I can't get to it, not even as an admin. Turns out, admins only have list folder contents in here, and regular users forget it. Even the well-hidden system user can't get to it. The only user that has access to that folder is a unique user called Trusted Installer that the Windows Installer Service uses to manipulate applications. So how the heck do we get to this? And more importantly, where are the real files that we need to replace? It turns out the images are actually over here. They're in the Windows installation folder. See Windows Web Screen. You might recognize these. These are the images that are available to you to pick from if you were to go to the settings and personalization. Look familiar? Well, except for that. I just added that. And I will show you some details for this. That's what I want to show you. The images we're looking to replace have to be this width and this height, 1920 pixels by 1200 pixels, and it has to be a PNG file. And you can make PNG files just from Windows Paint now. You don't need a special application just to do this. So first we need a PNG file. Turns out I have one, nice and handy. This is it here. And you might recognize this. Alright, so how do we go about replacing this? Well, we need our Windows 8 boot disk to be able to get to this, because I don't want to show you how to mess with the default permissions in here. It's better to use something that already has access. So we're going to restart this computer. I have my Windows 8 Pro CD-ROM inserted, and I'm going to reboot it. I also have my USB stick hooked up. And as soon as it lets me, I'm going to boot off of it. If there's any long delays, I will fast forward through them. There we go. we're going to click on Repair Your Computer. You would normally use this to do a refresh or reinstall if necessary, but we can do some advanced troubleshooting in here too. We're going to open a command prompt. This particular command prompt is running as the system user, but it's running in a special environment called the Windows pre-install environment. This is pretty much a God mode for Windows. The drive letterings are going to be different, so make sure you know what disk drive you're looking at. Drive C, in my case, is actually a hidden partition during normal operation. My Windows volume is really on D. Oh, pardon me. That's my USB stick. Let's try again. There we go. It's going to do random drive letter assignments, so be careful. Let's make sure that we're in the right disk. First, we'll replace the image in question. There we go. And the image we want to replace is img100.png. I'm going to rename it. Let's just say 106, so it's still available to our folks. And let's copy from D the replacement image that I made up. Exact same name, exact same type, exact same format. There we go. Now let's talk about what Windows does with this file, because it is not very intuitive. These are called SIDs. They are special account IDs. The folder I'm looking at actually belongs to the trusted installer user. And inside here we've got all of the copies of that background. Windows actually generates these things on the fly. And I discovered this because I was looking at all of the files inside here, and I noticed something. It created files for some of the oddest resolutions. When I was preparing this series, I was trying to determine the best recording resolution to use, and I went from the default up to some pretty odd little resolutions. I couldn't do 1280 by 720 because some of the modern apps would no longer work in that smaller resolution. So I tried that, and that turned out being too big. I ended up settling on this. But what I noticed was that Windows was creating files for each of these resolutions. Fascinating, I thought. So Windows builds these things on the fly, and it even does this for every user. When you pick a different lock screen image, it builds a different one depending on the resolution you're working on. So all we need to do is delete all of these JPEG files. Windows will just recreate them from the img100.png we just put in there. And we'll just get rid of that JPEG file, del*.jpg. That just says delete all JPEG files in there. Let's go to the next folder. And we'll get rid of that one. And we'll get rid of all of those. All right, gone. And we are doing this without messing with file system permissions, without unhiding something that should normally stay hidden anyway. And now that we've done this, let's exit our command prompt. It will then give us the option to reboot the computer and go back into the regular operating system, Windows 8. This will take a little while, so let's just wait. That's the image that the last logged on user had as their lock screen image. In that case, it was my admin account. watch this. Bam! No more Space Needle. Get over it. Microsoft, get over it. People are going to be replacing that background image. That's the end of this special part. Check in next time for part 3.